Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. This is Ethan of Pixel Adventure Commentaries here to announce a brief disclaimer before starting our regularly scheduled programming. In today's episode of The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we take a brief moment to discuss a hot topic political issue that the Disney Plus show highlighted. For those who watched, you know what scene I'm talking about. We recognize these issues are not what our audience is here for, so if you don't want to assault your eardrums with politics today, watch closely to the video for a timestamp that will allow you to skip the discussion and head right back into the fun stuff of the podcast. With that said, please enjoy our regularly scheduled programming, and thank you for understanding. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Ethan.
And I am Bryan.
And welcome back to our Falcon and the Winter Soldier Episode 2 Review and Synopsis podcast. Before we begin, we'd like to ask you to subscribe to our channel so you can keep up to date with all of our Falcon and Winter Soldier Review and Synopsis podcasts. And if you haven't already, we recommend that you watch Falcon and Winter Soldier stream exclusively on Disney Plus before you come and listen to our podcast, because we're going to be discussing spoiler-heavy content within every episode. So go watch the episode before you come back here. Please and thank you. And subscribe to our channel as well. Alrighty. Do you have anything else more to add, Bryan?
No.
Okay, then. So, let's begin our episode analysis of Episode 2, The Star-Spangled Man.
Alrighty.
All right.
Well,
so this time, like if you're still a bit new to the channel, so basically what we've done in the past for like WandaVision, for example, you should go listen to our podcast review of that and watch it stream exclusively on Disney Plus. So how we did it is like this: the show would cut between different perspectives, different characters' perspectives. In each episode, and then we would just cover one character and then another character and then another character, just compiling all their specific scenes instead of going through each and every scene as they are presented within the episode. However, we will make an exception to this episode because we figured that it would be the most simplistic way to cover this episode today. Is that correct, Bryan?
yes.
Alrighty, so we'll be going scene by scene, order by order, synopsis by synopsis. Alrighty,
Yes.
then. With that said, how does our episode 2 start off, Bryan?
Alrighty, well, our episode 2, Star-Spangled Man, starts off in the locker room of a high school, and we see they do call it a body bag, but it's essentially a protective cover for like suits and things that suits and other fancier suits that military personnel would wear. I actually have mine from when I was in boot camp.
Ah, congratulations.
But yes, but they do call it a body bag. That is its term, at least from when I was there.
Interesting.
And
Alrighty, then.
we see this body bag unzip, and we see inside the Captain America, in quotations, suit or uniform that we saw at the end of the last episode, worn by who we now know as John Walker.
the Square-Face McGee from last episode.
Yes, Square-Face McGee. And so we now learn that his name is John Walker. And he is in the locker room of his old high school because he's about to go out and be the new Captain America. Like, anybody wanted that.
Huzzah.
Yay.
So, right, exactly. All right, so I feel like I should ask now before I continue on, who is John Walker in the comics?
So John Walker in the comics was kind of like the opposite. At least, so his character, which is oh, I'm blanking on his name. It's U.S. something. It's not Captain America. They're calling him Captain America for now, but in the comics, his name was not Captain America. I want to say it was like the U.S. soldier or something.
I'm gonna look up not Captain America right now.
But for right now, his title is Captain America. But he was kind of like the anti Captain America in the comics, at least.
Oh, I got the name. It's U.S. Agent.
U.S. agent, that's what it is. And so the U.S. agent in the comics was basically like, "Hey, Captain America, your freedom. Well, I'm gonna beat you." And so that's essentially what he was kind of in the comics. He was also kind of like the so in the Marvel comics there is a like a Dark Avenger League kind of thing, kind of like how the Justice League has the Injustice League. There is a there is a Dark Avengers counterpart to the Avengers, and John Walker, I think at some point was kind of like the Dark Avengers Captain America. And so that's who John Walker is. Fun fact, the man who plays John Walker is Wyatt Russell, who is the son of Kurt Russell, who was Ego in Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Really?
Yes.
I did not know that. That's pretty cool.
So, little fun fact. But we see John Walker nervous to go out and be the new Captain America. So he has to get a pep talk from his wife, high school sweetheart, who's like, "Listen, you can do it." And he's all like, "I don't think I can." "You can. Now get up and go out." So his wife gives him this little pep talk, and then the wife goes away, walks off. And then one of John Walker's buddies from the army comes in, and he's all like, "Look, just do it. Nike. Do it," you know?
Yeah.
And so then John's like, "You know what? I will, black friend." And so he does. He goes out and he beats Captain America. That locker room scene.
Yeah, and I think the entire point of this scene is just to give, like, some sympathy, I suppose, from the audience towards John Walker, especially after the reveal of the last episode of this milquetoast square-faced jaw guy in the Captain America costume. So I guess they want to give him a bit more depth and backstory as to, like, this guy isn't just a jackass, I suppose. I don't know how you think about that.
I think the writers and the director, I think they knew that we were all going to hate the new Captain America at the end of episode 1.
Yeah, I figured.
So I think they are going to try to make John throughout the show possibly a little bit more a little bit more of a sympathetic character, someone that we can like eventually understand and be like, "Oh, he's not the jackass that we saw at the end of episode 1. He doesn't give off douchebag energy anymore, you know?" And so I think that's what they're doing. It's especially shown again in this one, in this scene, where they're like, "Look, he's not just a jackass. He has a wife. He has a best friend that happens to be black. It's okay. Average American, guys."
Gotcha.
Which it looks like in the show, John Walker is not a super soldier. He is just a regular man who joined the U.S. Army and turned out to be a hero, as we learn in the next scene. Because the locker room scene is basically the like cold open of the episode.
Yeah.
Then we get the title sequence, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then it goes to this big fanfare of this high school's band. I want to say band. It's their marching
Marching
band.
band, yeah, parade is something like that. I don't know exactly what to call it, but a marching band's good.
And so they're doing this performance. It's all like Star-Spangled themed. It's all like red, white, and blue, stars, stripes, all of that. Cheerleaders. Everyone's there. Everyone's wooing in the crowd, like, yeah, square face man. Woo!
We love
And
Captain
so
America, but not the audience.
So then he comes out with his shield, and it's the part from the trailer where he's like, "Yeah!" around all these black band members. And then he goes up on the stage, and he's all like, "Whew, Good morning, America," and it was the cheesiest thing I'd heard all day. Not gonna lie.
Especially after when like the camera panned to a TV monitor of the ABC show Good Morning America.
Exactly. No, I'm just as soon as I saw that, I'm just like, they made that a flippin' joke.
Yep, I hated
God
that. I
dang
really
it.
hated that.
I was just like, man, you are making me want to hate this man, but also like this man, and I don't like it. I mean, you know? But anyways, so he's on Good Morning America, and the host is going through all of his like awards, all of the things that he's like known for in the army, how he has 3 Medal of Honors, how he's been on like all these tours, and
Like,
all
yeah,
that stuff.
the dude's pretty badass for a milquetoast guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And he even says like, "Oh yeah, no, I'm just a normal guy. Joined the army." And he even says that he followed Steve's career and how he even wanted to be like him.
Yeah, did you see
Which
like
I'm just like,
like a TV reel or something like that? Like he was throwing the
yeah,
shield around and stuff. It's like, wait, how did he get the shield?
it was there.
It was okay. Okay, we'll just go with it.
I mean, to be fair, we don't know exactly how long after for all we know, as soon as the shield was donated in the last episode, as soon as Sam Wilson just turned his back, they were probably like, okay, take the shield, take it, go, 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 give it to John, give it to John. Like, for all we know, that's what could have happened.
That's funny.
Now I'm just imagining a whole bunch of old, like war vets just being like, take the shield, go. But anyways, so after we see this like reel of John throwing the shield around and all that stuff, after he's on Good Morning America and he being humble and it's like, no, you're not the Captain America we want. Get out of here. As soon as we've seen enough of him, the show's like, okay, we'll give you what you came for, and we cut to Sam Wilson.
Yeah, they play the Marvel role and then they get to Sam Wilson.
Yep. So we get to Sam Wilson.
Actually no, the camera pans like from a TV to Bucky's apartment. It's like he's just sitting on the floor just watching this happen, and I think Sam's doing the same
That's
thing on
right.
his side of the aisle as well.
Yeah, no, and how he's basically
Yeah.
feeling the same way
Yeah,
Sam is.
yeah, the both of them are just feeling outright disgrace, disgust. I'm not sure how to describe it, but it is the
I
same
like
thing.
I find it funny that the one thing that was able to bring Bucky back to Sam was their hatred for John Walker.
Right?
Their hatred for this one man is what brought them back together. It's great. Their like frenemy relationship is an amazing thing, and they do such a good job at playing it both on and off screen. Like if you go and watch like some of the interviews with Anthony Mackie and Sebastian Stan, whenever fans ask about like the other to like their counterpart, they always make fun of the other one.
Oh yeah,
It's-
They secret hate each other. Or what?
Yeah, no, it's great. But anyways, yeah. So we see Bucky. He's basically feeling the same way Sam did. Then we cut to Sam in at an Air Force base, and Bucky runs into him. How the hell Bucky got here? Why he's here? No one will ever know.
Yeah, and how he knew specifically where Sam would be, when Sam would be, plot convenience. But you know what? Just take it with a grain of salt, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, yeah. tracking technology. I don't know.
Exactly.
But and in this Air Force base, as Bucky is talking to Sam, being like, "Look, Flag Smashers are evil. John Walker hate the man. Let's do something about it." And as they're having this conversation, they're going down steps and everything. They're walking through the Air Force, through the base, and we constantly see just posters shoving in our face the new Captain America.
Yeah, while at the same time, like Sam and Bucky are basically squabbling over like the reason why Sam didn't take up the helm of the shield.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bucky's like, "How could you let this happen?" And Sam's like, "How did you? Do you think I knew that this was going to happen? No."
right. So
Okay.
yeah,
I think Sam basically says, I don't know if he says this exactly or anything like this, but the way that I interpret it, Sam is basically saying, "Look, if I would have known that they would have done this, I would have never given it up."
right.
That's what I got from Sam. But now that but since the decision has been made and since since the shield has already been given, he's like, "Look, there's no going back. We just have to accept the fact that this is going to be how it's going to be." But Sam's also like, "It doesn't mean we can't do something about these people, even though we're not wearing the shield."
Right, because
So
also at the same time they're getting ready for like a flag smasher kind of, I don't know what kind of rescue plan. No, not a rescue plan.
it's not
Just
really a rescue plan. It's more of a just a uh not a it's more like a reconnaissance mission. Just
yeah,
like try to like get as much intel as you can without being seen or anything. Um, if you're able to make like if you're able to confront them. If you're not, just let them be. Which Bucky doesn't do well with listening to directions, apparently.
yeah, because it's Bucky. You know that's where the conflict of characters come into play.
Which again, it's such a great conflict.
Hmm.
Um, but so that's basically what's going on. And there's also this running joke throughout the episode where Sam constantly keeps on bringing up Bucky's staring.
Yeah, well, it technically is Sebastian Stan. He does a pretty good job of it.
Yeah, yeah, no, and like he's just constant like throughout the episode, he's just constantly staring, and people just keep bringing attention to it. Even John Walker later in the episode is like, "Does he just do that? Like, does he just stare?" And Sam's like, "Yeah." But so Sam is about to go on this Flag Smasher mission of reconnaissance, and Bucky's like, "I'm coming with," and Sam's like, "No, you're not." Well, he did. Um,
Yep.
and so like literally it goes to Sam getting on the plane, and then it just cuts to both Bucky and Sam on the plane just staring at each other silently.
Hmm.
This show, man, has some good comedic moments.
Yeah, I figure the best source of material that of comedy or drama or anything of that sort will probably come from Sam and Bucky and how their characters will just support beam
Yeah.
each other off.
Because their characters are like, there's a lot in common between the two, but there's also a lot that's different.
Right.
And so their differences really like just come out. So we see that Sam and Bucky are now on this plane going to I think it's Munich, Germany. They're going to Munich, and Sam's Air Force buddy that we saw from the last episode is like, "Okay, like 1 minute till the drop point." And Bucky's like, "I'm coming down with you," and Sam's like, "No, you're not. Best not follow me," and things like that. And so they get to the drop point. Sam drops in, uses his wings, flies around to land softly. And then Bucky's like, "Where's a chute? We're at 200 feet. There's no chute." "Alrighty, I can make it." "You sure?" "Yeah." So
Fucking
Bucky
land
just
on his metal arm.
yeah. It honestly something that it reminded me of is it really reminded me of Avengers 1 when Captain America jumped out of the helicarrier.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me of that, but less heroic because it's Bucky now and it's comedic.
Right.
And so Bucky jumps out of the plane. He gets hit by a whole bunch of tree branches because there's a lot of trees around. And he lands on it. He uses his metal arm as kind of like cover, even though it doesn't work well. He lands hard on his back on the ground. And then Sam says in their earbud system, he's like, I recorded that. And so then he helps him up, and they go to this warehouse.
He uploads it to YouTube. Lunatic with metal arm falls out of plane.
What are we working on Shazam logic now with YouTube uploads?
Exactly.
But they get on the ground. They get to this like abandoned warehouse where Sam's like, "Look, we got to be sneaky," and Bucky's like, "I can do that. I am always sneaky." And Sam's like, "Look, can you at least follow the plan?" And Bucky's like, "I got my own plan."
Well, he never did explain the plan to Bucky, so.
Well, that is true.
Yeah, that's true.
But so anyway, Bucky like starts sneaking his way through. He starts sneaking his way, and then he sees two of the Flag Smashers lifting up these giant crates that would weigh a lot, and I mean a lot. So we obviously can tell that at least those two are super soldiers at this moment. Then there's like one or two others that we can see. And Bucky's like, okay, there's like 4 people. And then Sam comes up behind him and scares him. Bucky's even like, what the hell? Jeez, man. And so Sam's like, you really think there's 4? Red Wing, show me. And then Red Wing uses his X-ray thermal vision, whatever the hell it is, fancy tech.
Right.
And he's like, see, there's 8 people. And then he looks in one of the trucks that they're loading the stuff into, and they think that they might have a hostage. So they decide. So they wait for them to get into the trucks and start leaving, and then they start to chase them. Bucky on foot, Sam using his jetpack wing thing. And so they start chasing them down to try and rescue this hostage. And hopefully stop what may or may not be going on. And then we basically just get a fight scene. Bucky opens up the back of one of the trucks that has the hostage, and then we see that the hostage is a woman, but it's not a hostage.
Nope. Uno reverse.
It is one of. Yep, basically it's one of the Flag Smashers, and this entire group of Flag Smashers that they have encountered are all super soldiers.
Yeah.
Every single one of them. Showing that the super soldier serum has found a way to get back into circulation somehow, even if it's just like this small of a group, and the higher-ups that run the Flag Smashers are all super soldiers. So this is going to be an interesting final fight once we get there.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So Bucky gets punched out of the back of the truck from this super soldier into the other truck, because there's 2 trucks, and Sam is up above on one of the trailers, and then that's when a whole bunch of super soldiers come out of the trailers and stuff, and is like, let's fight. So it's now Bucky and Sam, super soldier with a metal arm and a man with a jetpack, against like 4 or 5 super soldiers that are in their prime.
Right.
And let me tell you, if you thought the good guys were going to win, you'd be wrong.
No, this is only episode 2.
Exactly. It's like watching a Marvel movie, then expecting the good guys to win in the first 30 minutes.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Just like Endgame. Wait.
What? So anyways, so they start this fight scene with Sam and Bucky basically getting their asses kicked. Like they are not doing great. I think about like halfway through the fight, Red Wing gets destroyed, which Red Wing was the mechanical Falcon that Falcon had.
Yeah, his little pet Falcon.
Yeah, and one of the super soldiers smashes Red Wing, and you just hear Bucky go, "I've always wanted to do that." And so, yeah, no, Bucky in this episode, before that happened, like he hates Red Wing with a burning passion. So when that happened, he was like, "Dang it, I wanted to do that." And then, about halfway through this fight scene, John Walker. I can't remember the actual name of the guy. I just know his superhero name of Battlestar.
Yeah, which isn't revealed yet, but yeah,
Yeah.
our brand new Captain America duo comes in to save the day, except not really.
Yeah, knockoff Captain America and Falcon come in. You got U.S. Agent, U.S. Squareface over here, and token black friend of his. You got these two guys coming in now. They start coming in, and something that I noticed this, and a lot of other people noticed this, and that's this. There is a distinct difference between John Walker's shield throw and Steve Rogers' shield throw.
Really?
I don't know if you caught on to this, but if you go back and rewatch, or just have me explain, basically their difference in their style is this. John Walker throws the shield directly at the enemy and then has it bounce directly back at him. Steve Rogers pulls a dude perfect and does trick shots.
Oh. Yeah, I never realized
Because
that.
Yeah, no, for example, remember back in Avengers Age of Ultron when Captain America was on a motorbike, threw his shield, hit 4 guys, and then caught it
I do
while on a
remember
motorbike? Yeah, no, he's really good with trick shots. Even in Winter Soldier, in the on the ship on the boat mission that he does at the beginning of the film,
Yeah.
that's him doing trick shots where he bounces it off the sides of the he uses angles, he uses trigonometry, and I'm just like, I don't do math, sir. Stop it. Yeah, and so John Walker is very straightforward. He's like, here you go, come back.
Right.
He doesn't do like the bouncing off and things like
No,
that.
yeah, that's a good thing that you mentioned because it's very lame. It's like remember when Bucky caught it?
Yeah,
Yeah, but because like that throw is like super predictable.
yeah,
Yeah,
it
that's
was
a
it
good
was very
distinction,
head
though.
on, and that's why Bucky was able to catch it.
Yeah.
If he wouldn't have thrown it straight on at Bucky, Bucky probably he probably still would have stopped it at some point, but he probably wouldn't have been able to stop it as well as he did. But it is a very predictable throw. It is a very basic throw that John Walker does. And so John Walker and Battlestar join the fight. I'm just gonna call them. Even though he's not called U.S. Agent, I'm gonna call him U.S. Agent because you never know. They might call him that at the end of the show.
Yeah, it's potentially likely that they're gonna refer to him as U.S. Agent for whatever reason.
It's kind of like how Agnes in every episode was called Agnes until the second to last when she finally or the third to last episode where she finally revealed her name was Agatha.
Right.
And so I think something similar might happen with John Walker, where through a majority of the show they're going to call him Captain America, and then something's going to happen near the end, and they're going to be like, U.S. Agent's now his name.
Right.
And so I'm just going to call him U.S. Agent and his army buddy Battlestar, just for our viewers to make it easier.
Cool.
So U.S. Agent Battlestar, they joined the fight. Fighting style is different. Talked about that. And even with the added help of 2 extra people, they still do not win the fight. Instead, Sam and Bucky are thrown off together, and Battlestar is hit off the back of the truck, and so U.S. Agent throws Cap's shield under him to catch him, which I thought was actually really cool. It was a neat little trick that he was able to do. And John Walker, U.S. Agent, just then basically gets off the truck and lets them escape, so that he can be with Battlestar because he knows he's outnumbered. So the Super Soldier, Flag Smashers go away.
Yeah, the Flag Smasher truck gets away.
with whatever it was that they had.
Yeah,
We learn
didn't
later
did
it's
yeah
like
well like yeah didn't Sam say early not Sam Bucky didn't Bucky say earlier when he was inside it before he got smacked out of it? There's some sort of
I don't
like
remember they said it beforehand or afterwards, but I know they mentioned that it was like vaccines or
yeah
something of some kind.
something of some kind. You know, it's probably a whole stash of COVID vaccines that they're just shipping off to Switzerland or something like
But
that.
yeah, no. So they are stealing all these vaccines for whatever reason.
Well, we're not sure if
Oh,
they're actually vaccines. That's just what the name that they just
that's just what they were called.
right.
Um, that could
Because
be
they
like a
keep
code name for
yeah
them being like it's more secret soldier serum, things
yeah
like that.
yeah because like they do refer to the stuff as serum later on in the episode. Yeah, so yeah,
Hmm.
there you go.
Um, so that's when we then see so Bucky and Sam are start walking up the road trying to get to like the airport because that's where they know that the Flag Smashers are trying to get there because they're trying to ship out the serum, the vaccine, whatever it is. They're trying to ship it out somewhere. And so Bucky and Sam are walking that way. And U.S. Agent and Battlestar are in a Jeep because they got a ride because, you know, they called military Uber. They called the U.S. Uber and they had one in town. So they're in a Jeep and they ask Sam and Bucky if they want to ride. At first they refuse, but then they're like,
Yeah,
fine. So they get
it was
on.
a funny camera shot of how they filmed that scene too, because they didn't like cut to any different frames during that one, so it was just Sam and Bucky just keep walking along the road at a side view angle while the Jeep with John Walker just approaches and is like, "Hey, buddy," and the Jeep keeps driving forward and backwards and forward and backwards. It's funny.
Yeah, no, it's hilarious. There are some good visual gags in this episode that are just too good to not watch. Um, and so they eventually, after some hesitation, they eventually just are like, okay, fine, we'll get on. Um, and then well, they kind of get into a conversation. It's basically Sam and Bucky are like staring basically at John Walker, U.S. agent. They're staring at him. They just have this look of disapproval the
Right.
entire time. This is when we get into the staring joke that I mentioned earlier. Um, and so they just are not having it with this new Captain America. Um, and so I don't remember everything that they talked about, but I do know that one of the things that like the U.S. agent said was that he didn't like. Did he want anyone to replace Steve? No, things like that, and I'm just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
Like
Yeah.
like near the end of the conversation, uh, uh, U.S. agent just says like he wants to be quote the best Captain America I can be, and so
Hmm.
yeah, whatever that may be, and then that's kind
It's
of
kind
where
of
like
you know how everyone was upset when Will Smith replaced not replaced, but like when Will Smith took over the role of the genie for the live action Aladdin
yeah
movie, and everyone was like, you can't be Robin Williams," and Will Smith was like, "Look, I'm not trying to be Robin Williams. I'm just me putting my own spin on the character." Okay,
right
and then you watch the movie and you're like, half the time, that's correct. When he's being Will Smith Genie, it's fine. But when they try to recreate Robin Williams as Genie, that's when it just goes to shit.
yeah
That's kind of what it's like here. John Walker as a person isn't a bad guy. He's a decorated war vet who has 3 Medal of Honors and is in the U.S. Army. All like John Walker isn't a bad guy. The fact that he put on the suit of Captain America is where everyone's pissed about. Because like we just know you can't be Captain America.
right
Even if you say I'm going to try to be the best Captain America I can be, you're not fucking Captain America.
exactly, and so yeah that piece of memory of Steve Rogers in their hearts will never be replaced.
Hmm. Especially since, I mean, as we know, if you've been here watching the MCU for the past 12 odd years, you know that Steve has a very close connection with both Bucky and Sam. And so to them, it's like someone's trying to replace like a brother.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, and so like that's essentially like the best like equivalent I can make. Um, something like that. Like you know how like you've always had like like you know how like you get a dog and you're like nothing can replace this dog, and then the dog dies, so your parents try to make you feel better by buying an identical looking dog, and you're like it's not the same. It's
Yeah.
essentially the same thing here. It's like, look, we had Captain America. You're not Captain America. You may look like him, but you're not him.
Right. Exactly. And,
Anyways,
and you know,
off this
and
whole
well, like no, to go further on that, if like the if like they bought a different looking dog, maybe the punishment wouldn't be so bad. Like say if John Walker were presented as somebody else as his own superhero other than Captain America lookalike, there would have been a totally different reception inside the continuity and
yeah.
possibly with the audience as well. I'm not sure about that one, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
no,
can
I
see
mean,
what I'm
if
going
they
with
would have
this,
been like,
the
if they would have been
correlation.
like straight up like, this isn't Captain America, but this is like a new like
Right.
statement.
Right, because like they said in the last episode, they want to keep a symbol of hope for the people now that Steve Rogers, Captain America, is dead.
Yeah, if they would have introduced him as like a new symbol, that would have been fine. But because they literally just are like your new Captain America, can we just start
Right.
a movement saying "Not my captain"?
I think that's already a thing.
Not my captain.
Hashtag not my captain. Yeah.
Great now, great now. That's gonna get started all over Twitter. Um,
Oh boy.
oh no, not Twitter. So, anyways, off this whole "not my captain" tangent. So after they have their conversation, Sam and Bucky are just like, you know what? We've had it. Enough with this U.S. Uber. You can keep your share of the fare. I'm
Yeah,
getting off.
it was like it was like the key moment of why they got off of that is like after uh the other dude, the black dude, I forgot his actual
Battlestar.
name. Like yeah, I forgot his actual name when Sam
I don't know.
when Bucky asked him like his it was like his nickname persona is like Battlestar. Huh, this is a fucking joke. Taxi, I want to get off.
Basically,
Yeah, I feel like Bucky thinks this whole facade of this new Captain America and this Battlestar sidekick is a bunch of baloney and a disgrace to the Steve's legacy.
of course.
Yeah, it's like this is full of baloney. I'm off this taxi. Get out of
I
here.
mean, when you know a guy for a good close to a century,
Right?
that's gonna sting a little bit. Um, but yeah, so Bucky and Sam they get off, and they start walking their own way. And then that's when we cut to the Flag Smashers, checking in at this checkpoint of sorts for themselves, where they have a Flag Smashers supporter,
Right. I
giving them a
thought
place to stay.
I thought it was like some sort of refugee facility because they do mention something about that. Like in the previous conversation with the four of them, they're mentioning something about like this global repatriation council that they're trying to help all the like the blipped people get back on their feet. I guess, and then but
Gotcha.
like yeah, and there's some sort of like refugee camps for like because I'm not sure if they explicitly stated it or if it's implied or like basically a lot of the government sources are being focused directly on the 5-year blip victims and not a lot has been going on for the the actual people that lived for the 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's correct or accurate, but I think that's what I'm going to go with, and that's why refugee camps have been sprawling up everywhere
Mm-hmm.
because the U.S. government is not like the Switzerland government. So the Switzerland government could be a piece of crap, and that's why they have Switzerland refugee camps, pretty much.
Yeah. Um, and so the Flag Smashers, the super soldiers that we saw from that fight, go to this refugee place that has beds and food. That way they can rest for a little bit before they have to continue on their journey. And the leader is the woman that we saw who we thought was a hostage. She's basically the leader of this group.
Carly Morgenthau.
And I believe that she could possibly be. So in the comics, there was a Flag Smasher. That was his name. There was a comic book character called Flag Smasher, who went up against Captain America, and I believe U.S. Agent as well. And it looks like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier, obviously, they turned Flag Smasher into more of a movement of sorts. But I think that Carly Morgenthau, the woman, is supposed to be a gender bent version of the comic book character Flag Smasher.
Ah, gotcha. So they do that on top of giving the Flag Smasher name like a whole, cult.
Like a whole, yeah,
Yeah.
like a whole like movement behind it.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
and
kind of
so,
cool. Actually.
while they're at this refugee area, Carly gets some text messages from an unknown number saying, "You took what was mine. I'm going to kill you."
Ah, very vague. Block.
Basically, no, thank you.
Sorry, wrong number. Who dis?
New phone, who dis? I'm sorry. But so she gets this text message, and then she is trying to get the group like, hey, we got to get out of here as soon as possible. So they leave the refugee area, the building, in quite a hurry. It's like they're there. They take like a 5-minute nap, and then they're like, okay, let's go. And so they start heading towards the airport where they needed to go. They start going to the airport, and they get to the airport. But as they're putting everything onto the plane, as they're about like halfway done or so, they find one of the soldiers comes up to Carly and is like, "Hey, we've been discovered. I'm gonna go borrow us some time. You guys finish up and leave." So the man goes off, and you see the cars coming down to the airport, and he pushes down an electrical line, an electrical pole. He pushes it down to stop the cars from continuing into the airport, while the rest of the Flag Smashers load up the serums and everything that they're flying off. And they just barely make it. They fly off, and the man that borrowed their time dies because he gets shot many times because bullets can stop people. Who would have thought?
Really now? I never knew that.
Who would have thought that the bullets could stop a super soldier? Wow. So the man dies, and the Flag Smasher, but his death was not in vain for the Flag Smashers. They are able to continue on their mission. That's basically the end of that. Bucky decides to take Sam on a little trip. And they go to visit
They go to Baltimore, Maryland, because they recognize that they don't have the power to fight off all the super soldiers themselves.
Yep.
And so they're discussing on what their next mode of plan should be. And then Bucky suggests, "I know a guy."
Yep. So they go to Baltimore. Here in Baltimore, they go see an old in quotations friend of Bucky. They go to this little house that says no trespassing. Bucky knocks and is like, "Is Isaiah?" And some kid opens the door and is like, and so Bucky's like, "Is Isaiah here?" And he's like, "There's no one here by that name. Just tell him that the man that he saw at that bar is here." And he's like, "Give me a minute." So he goes back. A little bit later, he comes back and he lets them in. And then when we get inside, we see an older gentleman sitting at a table. He looks at Bucky and he's like, "Son of a bitch." He basically, and so we learn in this. So the name of this man is Isaiah Bradley. We see Isaiah Bradley, and Isaiah Bradley is a war veteran from the Korean War. And we see that he recognizes Buck because he had a run-in with Buck. And he, back in 51, kicked Bucky's ass. And tore off half of Bucky's arm. Metal arm, not real one. Now you're probably wondering, how the hell was this man able to do that? Well, that's because we learn that Isaiah is a super soldier. Just like Steve, just like Bucky, just like the rest of the Flag Smashers that we've seen in this episode. Isaiah is a super soldier. The reason why? You have to look at his comic book counterpart of the same name. In the comic book Origins of Isaiah, Isaiah was part of an all-black platoon in the Korean War. And America wanted to test out this new so the reason why the super soldier serum has never been perfected other than with Steve Rogers is because the man who created it, the German scientist that we saw in Captain America: The First Avenger, he never wrote the formula down. He knew that if it were to ever get he knew that if it were to ever get into the wrong hands, it would mean disaster and destruction. So what he did is he memorized it in his own brain and then just made it. But because all of those samples were used on Steve, and or being destroyed, no one was ever able to recreate it, especially since he died. So because of that, governments all over the world have been trying to find a way to recreate it, all of them having disastrous side effects. For example, Bruce Banner tried to use gamma radiation as a base for the super soldier serum, accidentally turning himself into the Hulk. And just things like that. And so the all-black platoon that Isaiah was a part of was experimented on with a serum that the U.S. government had made that was supposed to turn people into super soldiers. And it only worked on Isaiah. Every other black platoon member in that war, in that area of the war, died during the process. So Isaiah survived. He then went out. He became the first black super soldier. He went out. He basically single-handedly won them the Korean War. Won them, quotations. But he was an unstoppable force during the Korean War. And after the Korean War was over, he was then and we kind of get a hint at this because in the show they do mention that he was arrested and he was in jail for 30 years. They never really gave a reason why in the show, but in the comics, the reason why he was arrested for 30 and put in jail for 30 years was because he stole Captain America's uniform. Because again, you have to remember during all this time, Captain America was still frozen in ice. They probably had like a copy of his uniform somewhere because to keep his memory alive. He
Yeah,
was a war hero after
yeah.
all.
It's the Cast B costume change.
Yeah, exactly. And so he was caught wearing one of Captain America's uniforms, and that was apparently grounds to arrest him for 30 years.
Dang.
So he was in jail for 30 years, and because of the reason why because of what he is, and because of the experiments that he had to go through and everything like that, he grew a hatred for the government.
Relatable.
And again, we kind of see that in the show. We see that he's very grumpy. He's very resentful of America, what it stands for. He hates Bucky, and just things like that. Like he just doesn't want to be a part of anything that has to do with that serum because he knows what it can do, and the pain that it can bring. We also get a glimpse of so the boy could potentially be his grandson, his grandson was a Patriot, and he was part of the Young Avengers. Which I will get into the Young Avengers at the end of this episode, if we have time.
Okay.
Anyways, so after they have their talk with Isaiah, they leave. And when they leave, we get, at least in my opinion, the cringiest part of the episode, and that's
yes.
Sam just gets stopped on the street by police, and they're like, "Excuse me, sir, identification."
I am glad that we agree that this scene did not need to be a thing.
Yes. No, it really didn't. The only reason the scene's a thing is because they wanted to like make it seem seamless as to why they needed to arrest Bucky, because Bucky missed a court mandated appointment with his therapist.
Which
And so because they couldn't just have the cops come and be like, "Bucky, you're under arrest for missing your court date," they were like, "Hey, Sam, you're famous, but we don't recognize you because you're not wearing your goggles. Show me your identification."
Oh yeah, that's the excuse that they play, but they know the directors know the audience better. They know it's gonna be some bull crap about some implicit biases, and so like basically, if you don't mind, audience, of us going on a slight side tangent here to talk about some cultural politics here for a second, because again, politics comes from the Latin word polis, the interaction of public peoples, how we all get along. So
Future Ethan, just in case people don't want to hear about this, could you possibly put a timestamp when we get back into the episode?
oh yeah, sure thing, I can totally do that.
Because I know I understand that not everyone it comes here for the politics. They come here because we're reviewing an episode. So just for those people who don't want to get into this.
Coolio, I'll put a disclaimer at the beginning as well.
Alrighty.
If you haven't caught on to, like, I guess our coverage of it, Bryan has been emphasizing black a lot in this episode.
I have been, and that was kind of on purpose.
Yeah, that was kind of on purpose for this very reason. It is not a coincidence that the directors casted these police officers as white people, you see. Mm-hmm. Not at all. So when the police officer says, "Oh, I didn't recognize you because of your lack of the goggles, Sam," the audience that speaks the so-called vocabulary will be like, "No, it's because of your implicit biases as a white person."
The whole part where like Sam almost gets arrested for being black, I cringed at.
Yeah,
I honestly did. I was just like, what the fuck, Marvel?
Yes, they explicitly did that for no other reason than just to speak the vocabulary.
Literally, like if it would have been similar to the first episode, with the bank scene where it was just like one little line and that was it, that would have been okay. But because they made it an entire like scene, I
Yeah,
was just like,
that's the thing.
like that's just taking it too far.
Yeah, it's like
Because
last
in the
episode we
bank
could have just
scene,
we could have just like brushed that off and just say, "Oh, that's SJW crap." Just brush it off for now.
because in the bank scene of the last episode, it was just one line that the sister said, and then Sam like brushed it off, and like the bank teller was like, no, 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 that's not what I mean. It's just like this is things how they are after the blip. If it was just something like that, I would have been fine with it. They just had to go and make it a full
Yeah,
scene.
and talk about a whole character rework on Sam right there. They literally botched his character because remember the beginning of that scene before they went in to see Isaiah. They were walking past some kids on the sidewalk, and they say, "Hey, it's Black Falcon," and then Sam's like, "No, it's just Falcon. Do I call you Black Kid? No, you see, there you go. Don't think like that." And then literally after the Isaiah scene is like, "You didn't tell me that there was a black super soldier." Now, okay, first you're saying don't think of the terms of race, and so you do that, and now you're just like, why the hell are you putting race into it? Speak fucking racial terms. This is the so-called anti-racist movement that has been going on in our culture, and it is not healthy. See, the thing is about this so-called anti-racist a phrase that was coined by a false ideologue named Ibram Kendi, who wrote How to Be an Anti-Racist, which basically means it's not the people, it's the policies, but also the people need to overcome racism, which is inherently inside their DNA as well, so they can't actually overcome it. It's some bullcrap. Just whatever he doesn't like that day is he claims that is racist. He's also suggested that there should be at the federal level like a national diversity, equity, inclusion like bureaucracy like that has the overall power to like strike down any bill that has a disparate impact on communities, which would be every single law ever. He's a legitimate fascist, I'll say. But anyways, this whole anti-racist movement has been seeping into our cultural norms. It's very disintegrative of our culture because they say this anti-racist movement is supposed to get us all along with us, but it doesn't. It only divides people because they only think in purely tribal forms. Like people make the assumption that like when I say people, I really mean like the woke ideologues, like the people who follow this vocabulary. And by the way, and if you don't know what woke is basically means activism. whatever bullcrap activism is being spouted today. And so people who speak the vocabulary are the ones who are fully invested into this. And this episode got all the headlines for it because every single media headline of Falcon and Winter Soldier episode 2 is basically like, oh yes, it's so grand. It's so like the Falcon and the Winter Soldier uncovers Marvel's original sin of racism. Yeah, and this is the only thing that grabs media attention. This is what gains people money because this woke corporate stuff is infused all of our institutional and cultural corporations. And it's garbage. It's hot garbage. I don't know how else to put it. Just going off the fly here, but it is not this kind of stuff is not good for our country because it treats people and minorities like the blacks, like how we've been emphasizing blacks. It treats them as if they're mindless beings and not capable of having agency in their own lives, and that is very disgusting for the country. It's like we want to move past segregation by resegregating people into intersectional coalitions again. Wait, what? It's very stupid and sad.
So I think we should get back to the episode, shall we?
Yeah, and,
Um,
and if anyone here is interested in more in-depth and more concise analysis of what I'm saying, I will probably be writing an essay. Given that this show might continue along the lines of the woke ideology, and I am very
Yep.
very disappointed about that, and I'm not liking this show because of it.
Anyways, to continue on from where we left off, to getting into the final stretch of the episode, we cut to Bucky getting bailed out of jail. and his therapist comes in, and Sam thinks that the therapist let him out, or found a way to get him out, and she's like, "No, wasn't my doing." And then bitch face McSquare Man over here comes in and is like, "Hey man, it was me." Followed by paparazzi, people who want autographs, everything that Captain America wasn't just follows him in as he gets like this. Honestly, I'm surprised that the fanfare didn't start playing. It was just so much. And so he comes in and he's all like, "Yeah, no, it was all me. I'll meet you guys outside when you're done with the therapist." And so he goes on outside while the therapist goes with Bucky. And then Sam's like, "No, I'll stay out here." And she's all like, "No, you're coming." "No, it's fine. That wasn't a request." And as soon as she said that, I'm just like, ooh, couples therapy. Yay.
Yay.
And this leads to, in my opinion, the funniest scene, like, in like the last like 2 years.
2 years, really.
I want to say, I don't want to say it's the funniest scene in the entire MCU,
No.
but it's definitely a funny scene. Just their entire, because it's so awkward yet also so like filled with like fun, like fun energy.
Yeah.
Because they start out not even saying a word to each other, and then they start acting like a couple that's been whose marriage has been on the rocks for the last 10 years. And it's just hilarious to me. One of the exercises that she has them do is the miracle exercise that she does with couples, where it's like, if you were to wake up and like a miracle were to happen to you, what would that miracle be? And both of them are like, oh, if the other one was gone.
Right.
They both agree on that, and then she has them face each other, and then scoot in real close, and they have this moment of like, well, which way are you going? Okay, here we go, and then they just interlock their knees.
Really close.
Like,
it's like they're practically kneeing each other in the balls.
Exactly. And they just stare at each other in the eye. Like, she's all like, now stare at each other in the eyes. And Sam's like, oh, Bucky will have no problem with that. And then they start like saying things to each other. It's very, very sweet in a Falcon and Winter Soldier way. And then they eventually just are done with the session. They get out of there. And then they go outside and they meet up with Battlestar and U.S. Agent. And U.S. Agent is basically like, hey, I help you, you help me. And Sam and Bucky are like, no. You take off that suit and maybe we'll help you. And he is all like, okay, if you're going to be a dick, I'm going to be a dick. You don't want my help? Fine. At least stay out of my way. That's a very simplified version of what they said, but that's basically what they said.
Yeah, it is basically like they tried, I guess, like making amends. Well, first, like, Sam and Bucky made the agreement, like, after the mission that they're on, they just go each other's separate ways and never interact with each other ever again. Because, they don't like each other, but, they have to accommodate for the situation that they're in. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah. So after they have
their
that
combined hatred for U.S. Agent brings them together.
Right, exactly. like I think they both recognize the thing that they both can agree on is that the defamation of Steve Rogers is real.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, and like after like Sam and Bucky left that camera pan, the camera just kind of zoomed in on U.S. Agent, and it's like he had like a scowl on his face. It's like maybe they're foreshadowing, ooh, he's gonna be bad now or something like that.
Yeah, no, I'm thinking that near the end of the show, he might turn into a bad guy of sorts.
Yeah, it probably was inevitable from the beginning, or like some sort of rival character at the very least. But yeah.
Um, and so so then U.S. Agent and Battlestar, they go their separate ways. Bucky and Sam go their separate ways. And then right before they decide to end the episode, Bucky and Sam talk. And they say that they understand that the only way to truly know what's going on, they have to go to one man. And that one man is Zemo.
That's right, Baron Zemo. Like
And then the ending of
I actually quite didn't understand how they got to that conclusion though. It's like
I don't either.
yeah, because like I thought at first they were talking about U.S. Agent, like, given that he's like the new face of Captain America, it's probably reasonable that he got all of the government intel and stuff like that. So like, how much of Hydra does he know? Which is something that Bucky brings up, and so like, and then they connect the dots by doing Hydra and then Zemo. What? I thought they were talking
Honestly,
about that, but now
I
you're
can
saying
tell you.
they were talking about like the super soldier serum or something like that. Like, he does, as far as I know, he doesn't actually have any correlation with either of those. So I don't know how they
With me, I'm
came
just
up
like,
with this
look,
conclusion.
there are like at least three other people you probably could have gone to help with your situation. But no, you decided to go with the guy who literally brainwashed Winter Soldier.
Right.
Why?
Bet. What if he gets there and he still has the freaking book with him and he starts saying "Homecoming, freight car 17." Ah!
Oh my god. Oh yeah, no. So the ending of the episode, right before the credits start, the ending of the episode is it's quiet, and all you hear is just this amazing orchestra playing this requiem music. As we're in this, as we are, as the camera is going through the halls of this German prison, and then and then right before the credits, we just zoom in on a video camera feed of Baron Zemo's cell. Then it goes to the end, and then it goes to the credits. I am excited to see how they're going to bring Baron Zemo into this, and I'm really hoping he gets his gimp suit.
Is what?
He's probably not going to, but I wish they did it. Yeah, no, in the comics, he wore like this pimp suit of sorts. He had like fur, like a fur like neckline in his coat.
Really? What the
Yeah,
fuck?
no, it was very amazing. And it was a brighter purple than what they show in the trailers and stuff. In the trailers, it's more of like a darker shade of purple. But in the comics, it was very much a very vibrant, bright purple. Even in the animated shows, it was a very vibrant purple. But I'm excited to see what they do with Zemo in this show. Definitely. But yeah, no, that's the episode. It was a very interesting one to say the least. Definitely had its moments.
Definitely had its moments.
Yeah. But it wasn't a terrible episode. I mean, again, it had its moments, but as a whole, it wasn't terrible. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I mentioned the Young Avengers. Now, whether or not they actually end up doing this, who knows? But I think they are, at least a little bit, trying to set up the Young Avengers. And the reason why is because, well, we now have Patriot. In WandaVision, we got Wiccan and Speed. In Hawkeye's show, we're going to be getting Kate Bishop, Ant-Man's daughter, Morgan Stark.
Oh, hell yeah. What?
What?
I didn't say anything.
And so we have all these younger, most of them are related to Avengers, but we have all the younger members being introduced. So it's highly plausible that they could eventually set up a Young Avengers either show or movie.
Perhaps, yeah. I think after Endgame, this is probably the direction that they're gonna go. Maybe not immediately. This is maybe Phase 4 is a transition phase into a much bigger Phase 5, where they have some sort of epic climax with all the younger superheroes, the younger cast in their own
Yeah, no,
roles.
I think they might have like a almost a passing of torch moment
Yeah,
with some of the heroes. Like Sam might give the shield to Patriot, um, and like Hawkeye might have a moment where he gives his bow to his daughter, things like that. If they do end up doing the Young Avengers, I would imagine some sort of passing of the torch, kind of moment or scene of some sort.
yeah.
But I do believe that they are at least somewhat setting up a Young Avengers for the future. And that's really all the theories I have at the moment. The only other like theory that we have is just U.S. agents going to be bad soon, possibly.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's really it.
That might
This,
be
this
that.
ship,
That might be like a reason why he's in here in the first place.
Yeah.
Not, but like the another point, like he's in here for like a glue for Sam and Bucky to actually get along with each other.
and with their shared hatred.
Right.
But that's again, this show isn't like mystery based like WandaVision was, so it's not like every episode you have to start theorizing as to what everything could mean.
Right. It's all cut perfectly. Like again, it's like an extended cut of a movie chopped up into 6 parts.
Exactly. And so that's really all I have. If you got anything to add.
No. I don't think I do.
Yeah, I don't have any future predictions besides, I guess, the obvious ones was like the interactions of Zemo and Sharon Carter still needs to be a thing, and then just seeing where the Flag Smashers would do with the super serum, what their ultimate goal is, and yeah, because next episode will be the mark of the halfway point, so we'd expect to like for something to be like the midway point climax or something like that. So yeah, we'll just have to see next time. Do you have anything more to say, Brian, before we log off?
No, just that we'll see you next week.
Alrighty then. So thank you guys for tuning in to our Falcon and the Winter Soldier episode 2 review and synopsis podcast. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button so you can keep up to date with all of our Falcon and the Winter Soldier review and synopsis podcasts, and also make sure to watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier streaming exclusively on Disney Plus. Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic night and take care.
Adios.